Well, hello, and how are you this evening? I am tired. I'm not going to lie. I'm really tired. Good tired. Very good tired. Had a great weekend with my beloved. She is asleep on the couch right now. We had spent a couple of days camping uh, in the Gatineaus near Gracefield, which is about 90 minutes north of where I live. We had a really good time. Did some boating, did some kayaking, caught some rays, visited with the animals because it's on a hobby farm, so they have goats and chickens and a pig, a couple of dogs. It was a lot of fun. Had a campfire, ate some great food, had a really good time, got a lot of fresh air. And then we had planned originally to stay for 3 days, but I had to come back to take care of some stuff here in town last night, which we were kind of happy because we were both pretty tired and there were no showers available where we were. So I desperately needed a shower after a couple of days, as I'm sure everyone can understand. Anyway, I thought today, why don't we go down to Big Sandy Bay Beach on Wolf Island in Kingston area. That was kicking that idea around last night, and I said, yeah, let's do that tomorrow. So that was the plan. And then I woke up and it was 17 degrees Celsius and raining here. To figure out what that is in Fahrenheit, double it and add 30 and you're really close, within about 2 or 3 degrees. So about 64, 66 degrees for my American friends. So not exactly a warm day. So I put on a long sleeve black merino wool sweater, black pants, black boots, wool socks, thick wool hat, not a toque like a fedora, so that I could stay warm and dry and comfortable. Picked up Bridget and we drove down to Kingston. Left a little bit later than we sort of planned, but life gets in the way sometimes, right? And we got down there and, well, the weather had changed between the time we left and the time we were expected. And, it was still 17 degrees in Ottawa, but it turned out to be 26 in Kingston. With the humidity, it was 35. So I was grossly overdressed for the occasion. But I met up with some friends. We had a lovely afternoon, sat in a patio, had a beer, and had some wonderful food, then went for a walk, went down to the Gord Downey Pier, and my lady went for a swim, jumped off the dock and into the water. It was very refreshing. I walked into the shallow end because I didn't bring anything for swimming because plans had changed. So I just rolled my pants up and walked in up to my knees and dipped my arms in the water up to my elbows. And yeah, there was something in that water that disagreed with me because my arms, you can't see them now, but they were covered in hives and very itchy. So I'm glad I didn't decide to jump in because for a minute I thought, I'll just jump in with my pants on, to heck with it. Who cares? They'll dry quickly. Boy, am I glad I didn't do that. So that was my weekend. It was good. But I am tired physically and emotionally because the drive home we faced a pretty severe rainstorm. So bad so that I had to pull over 3 times because it was raining so hard you simply couldn't see. And I didn't want to risk my life for that of my ladies. After all, she does have children. She's a mother, and I want to, get home safely. So we took our time. It was a longer drive than normal. Normally it's 2 hours. It took us almost 3, but that's okay. We got home safe and sound, and really, isn't that all that matters? We got home safe and sound. We had a great day. We had a wonderful weekend. And yeah, here's the thing about long weekends. As much as I love them, I know I'm going to be exhausted at work tomorrow. That extra day, I find I never get any rest. I find I'm busy up here and then busy everywhere else. And as a result, I'm usually quite exhausted by the time the Tuesday back to work in the office day rolls around. I mean, hey, that's not okay. I'm not complaining. I will always take that long weekend when I have it because We all need leisure time, do we not? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and who likes a dull boy? I'd much rather be a happy man. But happiness is a decision you have to make. It's that simple and it's that complicated at the same time. It's simple because even if your life is in turmoil, even if you are feeling anxious and depressed, and you can't get out of bed, you can still be happy. And I've tried to explain that to people in the past who don't have depression. And they say, well, if you're depressed, how can you be happy? I'm like, that's not what it is. It's a medical term. It's a medical term for a serious disorder, and there's medication to treat it that helps. But I'm happy, despite the fact that some days, the random thoughts will just creep into your head and say terrible things to you, especially during the anxious times when they tell you all the bad things in the world are a direct result of something you did or didn't do or should have done or would have done or could have done or didn't do. If you have anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're absolutely right, Andrew. There is no vacation for what we have between the ears. None. You can't take a vacation from your mind. I mean, I try to meditate. I try to, use the best breathing exercises I come up with when things are sideways, when things are tumultuous, when you're not feeling like you're at your best. That's when we really have to put the extra work in to try and be our best, to try and breathe through it. And breathing through it is sometimes the only thing we can do. An exercise I was taught once years ago was, while you're doing your breathing exercises, squeeze your hands together with fists and then release them. And then try and shrug your shoulders tight. Flex your muscles and hold them for a count of 5 to 7 seconds and then release. So on the inhale, flex and hold. And on the exhale, release and relax. It works incredibly well. It's sometimes difficult to remember to do it, though. Oftentimes I only think of the breathing exercise, which does work incredibly well. But adding in the flex aspect of it too, that just, it makes it better. Makes it easier to cope with. So, yesterday I woke up feeling good, had some coffee, felt great. And then all of a sudden my stomach decided, oh, you're not going to enjoy this day. So it kind of ruined my morning, but my afternoon was okay. But it made it tough, because we were up at the campsite and I wanted to, Bridget went down to the water to sit by the dock for a bit and I wanted to join her. I said, I need to lie here for a little bit longer. And then, of course, the anxiety kicks in. It's like, hey, dude, you're missing out on time. You should be doing something right now. And I'm like, I can't do that right now because my stomach is in knots. And it's pain and distressing. Then I get a headache from it. The anxiety starts to rise. And as a result, you start to, hate yourself a little bit. So I did my breathing exercises and relaxed as best I could. And with time and a little bit of medication, I did start to feel better. And by 1 o'clock, I was okay, and I went down. And we spent a few hours on the dock and just enjoyed each other's company in the beautiful sunshine. But it was difficult, to start the day off like that. You wake up, you feel good, you're a little tired, and I had a little sinus headache, I think, from some of the pollen in the area, because it was in the country and there were a lot of animals around, lots of wildflowers. It was the stomach issue, though, that really did ruin in my morning. Like I said, I started to get very anxious about it because I'm thinking, well, I'm, dragging Bridget down. She wants to spend some time with me, and I'm incapable of it right now. And that's, it's never a difficult. Trying to explain to somebody what you're going through when you're going through it, it can be incredibly challenging because you feel like crap, but you want to say, listen, I'm sorry, I feel this way right now. I can't control it, and it's eating me up inside that I can't be spending the quality time with you that I want to. I guess that's the difficult part of the anxiety aspect is it'll come in and creep in at any moment when you least expect it. Little things like that. I'm not feeling well. And the anxiety kicks in to say, what are you doing here? You should be down there doing that. You should be over there helping out there or doing something over there. Look at you. You're just a lump lying down. Oh, my stomach hurts. Get up, you punk. That's what it says to you. But the thing is, you can't. So now you're fighting your own inner monologue. It's brutal some days. But I always manage to get through it. I breathe through it. I work through it. I think about, once I get through this, I'll be okay on the other side. And when you get through it on the other side, it was like, that wasn't so bad. It's kind of, your brain tricks you in that sense so that you don't dwell upon it. And it's probably for the best, ultimately, because if you sat there and thought about it all day long, that would keep you into spiraling anxious turmoil, and that's not good for you or for anyone. So yeah, difficult days sometimes. That's okay. They're going to come and they're going to go, and when they go, you feel so much better. And you can feel better for a long time until that turmoil comes back, and what might feel like forever could only be maybe an hour or two. But when you're in the middle of it, when you're in the middle of a crisis, a second feels like a minute feels like an hour, and an hour feels like a day. And there's no way to slow it down or back it off, You just gotta buckle down and grit your teeth and get through it as best you can. And I wish I could tell you the best way to do it. And I wish I could tell you that it's temporary. And I mean, technically it is temporary while you're going through it. It's not going to last forever. It's temporary in the moment. It will go away, it will pass, and you will feel better afterwards. Unfortunately, even with medication, it still often rears its ugly head. It's not curable, but it's treatable. But you're always going to have it. It's always going to be a part of who you are. And I wish I could say that wasn't the case, but who's kidding who? It absolutely is. It's going to be with you forever, for the most part. For the most part. It's not really fair of me to say forever, because there are some people that can take medication, it gets treated, and it never comes back again. It goes into remission for decades. I don't know if remission is the right term there, but it just seems to go away for a long time. And I've known a few people who treated their depression years ago, and it never came back. It's like, wow, that's incredible. I didn't know that was possible. I have been told that, there's no fix, but sometimes a patch will help, and it can hold it for a long time. Now, there are new suggestions, new medications, new experimental treatments, psilocybin, for example, and MDMA, and even LSD they've used at microdosage levels. And it's helped to reboot people's brains. It's to the point where the anxiety and the depression have gone away forever. And it's not that I'm not willing to try those things, but I want to do it under the supervision of my physician. Medication I'm on works quite well. It's not a cure, of course, but it does a really good job for me. Now I may have to increase the dosage. I'm on the lowest dosage there is. I may have to increase it eventually, and hopefully I don't, but, I don't. The cycle off experience could take up to 8 weeks to cycle off, because if you were to try psilocybin, it kind of bonds the same way that sertraline does, and as a result, they sort of can cancel one another out. So it's not a good idea to try that treatment until you've cycled off the previous treatment. And the time of the year that this is, as we approach autumn, autumn's tough on me. Winter's not so bad because I keep very busy in the winter. I skate the canal. Well, I didn't skate the canal last year because it didn't open for the first time in history. But when I can, I get out and I skate the canal. I get a lot of exercise in the winter, so that when summer comes around, usually, last year was the exception, of course, but usually in really good shape come spring and summertime, and keep active in the summer. But the autumn, I find I'm a little less active because everybody loves the change of season, the fall colors and sweater weather, and I hate it. I hate it. You have to understand that part of the world that I live in, autumn is not exactly warm. Autumn starts September 21st, and September is usually still warm here. By the second week of October, which is Thanksgiving in Canada, that's when the cold weather starts to come in, and it can be quite chilly. Then it can get to the point where in November, it's too darn cold outside to actually do anything. There's no winter sports to be done because there's no snow on the ground yet. In any sort of other sport, you're going to freeze your butt off, and I find that very unpleasant. I don't go cycling in the autumn because I find it too cold and wet and damp and very English, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Much like it is in the UK. Wet, cold, gray, and damp. And that's how I feel throughout autumn. Now, some years are better than others, admittedly. But I hate the month of October. I really do. When November rolls around, it's kind of like, okay, Christmas is coming up, and then we'll be into a celebratory mood. But that stretch, that 31-day stretch of October it can be tough. You're correct, Mikhail. We have to learn to make peace with the anxiety. Medication does help, but it's not a cure. It's sort of a Band-Aid solution, but I'll tell you what, without it, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I would not have made it through the early days of the pandemic, I don't think, without it. That's the honest-to-goodness truth. You're absolutely right, Andrew, that weather does crank up the depression because it starts to get dark earlier, but there's, like I said, you can't do the winter sports. It's not winter enough yet, but it's not warm enough to do the summer sports. I have friends who love to run in the autumn, and they run all year round, but they love running in the autumn. And I have friends who love to cycle in the autumn. I don't. I derive no pleasure from it in the autumn. I'm speaking basically the month of October. Sure, I can venture up on a nice warm sunny day to look at the fall colors in the Gatineau Hills and overlook the city of Ottawa from a vantage point that you have to hike to. And yes, the colors are beautiful, but I try and see them in a joyful way, but honestly, all I see is death. Those leaves are dead. They're going to fall off soon. The trees will be bare for a few months. And until the snow falls, I find it to be very, very depressing. And I find oftentimes October through November are cold, wet, gray, and rainy. And that's tough to take. It really does bring my mood down. In the winter, I have one of those satellites, they call them, SAD, seasonal affective disorder lights. It's by my bedside, and I wake up in the morning and I turn it on. I wake up every day at 5 a.m. and at this time of the year the sun starts to, well, right now it rises a little after 5, so that's fine. By the time I roll out of bed at 6, it's sunny out. Of course, in the autumn we'll turn the clocks back so we can get a little bit more daylight in the morning, but doesn't get bright here till 8 a.m. when I'm in the office by that point. So it, can kind of drag one down. There's nothing I can do about it other than try and cope with it the best I can. Use the light. Find gratitude in the simple things. Breathe. Get as much exercise and social time as you can. Those things are really helpful. Of course, when, we were all in a situation where everything was closed, that wasn't easy. It wasn't easy on anyone. Well, you know what? That's not a fair statement. That's not a fair statement. It wasn't easy on a lot of people. There are some people, friends of mine, who are introverts, and they absolutely love the solitude. They love the quiet time. They love that there was no crowds anywhere. They love that the only time they had to see people was when they went to the grocery store. So I guess if you're an introvert, that was a welcome change. I'm not an introvert. I get my energy from other people, and when I stay home alone for too long, I have no energy to do anything. There was a friend of mine years ago who pointed that out to me. He said, Paul gets his energy from other people. You watch how animated he gets when he talks with someone. I'm like, you know what, I never realized that before, but goodness, you're right. You're absolutely right. I can walk into a pub exhausted and have a conversation with 2 or 3 people, and by the end of it, I'm feeling energized and happy again. I get a lot out of talking with people. I guess maybe that's why I do this, This sort of gives me an opportunity to clear my head. And then we have, you wonderful folks in the chat that respond in the most delightful and positive ways. It's good medicine for me. Having a community, that's got you, that wants to support one another. That's why I'm going to continue to do this for as long as I can. And I hope you like the efforts I put into this. I will be trying to put together a meditation. I think what I'll do is put it on a different night because it will be its own thing and less about a chat and more about let's just have a meditation. I think that would be something I would probably record in advance and air it on a Tuesday evening. Let me know what you think about that, if you think that's a good idea. I'm still, trying to figure out the logistics of it. It's not too much of a challenge for me. I just don't know if it's the right way to go about doing it. And I'm looking for guidance and input, so I can help make a more informed decision, if that's something you think that would be good. I've had some friends tell me they wish for me to provide more whisper content, and I do understand that it is something that very much is appreciated by a great number of people. I don't think I'm very good at it, to be honest with you, and I find it to be very hard on my throat, so what I'm going to start to do is put together little 5-minute whisper content videos that I'll just drop on the channel. They won't be live. I'll just record them and then drop on the channel from time to time. Just like mini films. Not a short as in shorts on YouTube, but a short version, if you will. So let me know what you think about that, because I'd like your input. Let me know. Anyway, I think we're getting close to, we're close to wind-up time here. 25 minutes went by really fast. Sometimes that's how it works. So I hope that you wonderful people have had a chance to get some time to yourselves, and, whether it was on a long weekend or if you took time off from work or if you just took a day or a half day or just spent some time reading a book under a tree, I don't know. Whatever you have to do to break away from everything and get yourself some peace and quiet. Maybe peace and quiet to you is sitting in a loud pub. Oddly enough, that kind of is for me. I find it satisfying. I know it sounds weird, right? But I find it satisfying because it energizes me and relaxes me at the same time. Yeah, I think it relaxes me because it gives me the opportunity to distract myself from the thoughts that the anxiety puts in my head by having a conversation with somebody over sports or movies or whatever conversation comes up. It brings me peace because I'm not having to think about the darkness. And that's, I think that's about all I've got this evening. Yeah. Take a sip. Oh, that's such a good beer. Pilsner Urquell, if you were curious. Okay, Stephen, I'll put together some short whisper videos. I think just little 5-minute ones here and there, and I'll just pop them in, create a separate shorts column, a short film column, and I'll just drop them in there. That's a great line, Mikhail. Parties afford one more intimacy. Yeah. I get you. You're welcome, Andrew. And meditation vid will be forthcoming. Like I said, it'll be pre-recorded. I'm not sure when I'll pop it on the channel, but it'll be a pre-recorded thing along with some of the 5-minute whisper contents, short films. I'll just record a bunch of stuff and throw them on the channel. But until that time, I will bid you adieu, my friends. I will be back next Monday at this same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, I guess it is, DT, because we are on Daylight Savings Time after all. So this time, next week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I will be back here to talk with you, and I hope you can join me. Between now and then, if you want, feel free to share this with anybody you think it may help, because after all, I'm just trying to provide an outlet for people to sit back and relax and find some calming words as we have a chat about our mental health, our state of it, and how we're doing. Yeah. I will bid you adieu. Take care, my friends. See you next Monday. Bye.